190 people. They're doing backflips. Oh gosh, you got Yahoo doing backflips, ESPN doing backflips, Fox doing backflips, Front Office Sports doing backflips. All of them said, you know what? We've ignored Unrivaled all season long. Finally, they give us something good to talk about. And they all just publish it. Oh, 21,000, record.
When 21,000 people crammed themselves into a Philadelphia arena, media outlets did backflips. Fox Sports, Yahoo, and ESPN all used the same headline: unprecedented turnout for Unrivaled. After being disregarded for weeks, the league finally had something to celebrate. However, none of those headlines addressed this. Even while 21,000 individuals physically attended, hardly anyone else in America bothered to switch on their television. Furthermore, the recently released statistics show something much more troubling than anyone wants to acknowledge.
January 30th, Unrivaled takes over Philadelphia. Breeze vs. Phantom, 40,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic. Rose vs. Lunar Owls, 40,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic. Of all of the programs featured here, they are 146th and 160th in national rankings for television that night.
40,000 people watched. That is the total for every game in the crucial 18 to 49 demographic on Friday night. In comparison, those two unmatched games were ranked 46th and 160th nationally for television that night, not in sports programming, throughout the whole television industry. And since those are the same people who would typically be watching at home, the 21,000 attendance figure now makes perfect sense. Relocating to Philadelphia didn't increase their viewership. They just moved the same crowd from their sofas to the seats in the arena. The performance was unique. No one watched to see what all the excitement was about.
Makes perfect sense now. Makes perfect sense now. You take a look at Unrivaled ratings. You take a look at year 2 for Unrivaled. Unrivaled, the golf league, taking viewership hit in second seasons. This is an article put out by Sports Media Watch. The two new leagues who generated headlines at the start of last year are off to slower starts in their sophomore campaigns. The women's 3v3 basketball league Unrivaled was averaging 103 viewers across TNT and True TV through week 3 of the season as of January 26th, down 44% from the first 3 weeks of last year's inaugural.
However, that catastrophe in Philadelphia is only a sign of a much more serious issue. The statistics from Sports Media Watch's research of Unrivaled's second season are devastating. On average, 103,000 people watch the league on TNT and True TV. That's a 44% decrease from the first season last year, when they averaged between 90 and 105,000. Consider that drop. They lost over half of their audience in a single year. This league increased the number of games to a fourth night, introduced 2 new teams, and invested a significant amount of money in product promotion. Caitlin Clark appeared on Good Morning America. They planned this incident in Philadelphia that made news worldwide. And the viewership fell by 44% in spite of all that work and money. When you consider the network split, the breakdown becomes even more severe. On average, 145,000 people watch games that are broadcast on both TNT and True TV, but just 64,000 watch games that are only available on True TV. This is where the issue lies. The fourth night of games this season, and all of those extra telecasts are real TV exclusives, according to Unrivaled. As a result, they extended their calendar, but no one attended the new events.
Did I read that correctly? Unrivaled was averaging 103,000 viewers across TNT and True TV. That's nasty work. That's crazy bad. That's true.
Unrivaled will now attribute their difficulties to football competition. The two highest-rated broadcasts this season were the January 5th start and the January 26th window, both of which steered clear of football competition. It is also true that half of their broadcasts through January 26th featured opposing NFL or college football games. However, there will be no football action at all during the Philadelphia event on Friday, January 30th. They only drew 40,000 viewers per game in the target demographic despite having a clear runway, extensive promotion, and record attendance that made headlines in the sports media. When you have a great opportunity and no one shows up, you can't blame football. You have to admit that the audience isn't there at some point. No one is searching for unmatched game. Even though this content is widely accessible and well-publicized, they are not looking for it.
Behind a paywall soon enough, folks. Soon enough, they're going to be behind a paywall, whether it's HBO Max, whether it's Paramount Plus, whether it's Netflix. We talked about that. Whatever it is, their days on TV are numbered. Game simulcasts on both TNT and True TV are averaging 135,000, while
at a startling rate of views. Furthermore, it's not a short-term setback when a league loses 44% of its viewership in a single year despite growing and promoting more. That is a major issue with the product, which therefore begs the question, how long before does Unrivaled vanish behind a paywall? Because at 103,000 average viewers, these figures don't justify the television real estate they're taking up on TNT and True TV. They aren't contributing anything worthwhile to the network. They are occupying time slots that could be used for anything else.
Just some positive news, shall we? Let's get into something a little bit more positive. Sunday night basketball, milestone for NBA on NBC Sports. Lakers-Knicks, 4.5 million viewers on NBC plus Telemundo, 5 million peak audience. Most watched regular season Sunday night NBA game since 2002, excludes Christmas Day. Sunday night NBA games.
The contrast could not be more pronounced. Therefore, let's now discuss what real success looks like. Even though Unrivaled is failing, Caitlin Clark recently joined NBC as an NBA analyst, and the network is already discussing ways to increase her responsibilities. With a peak audience of 5 million, Sunday night basketball on NBC attracted 4.5 million people for the Lakers vs. Knicks game. With the exception of Christmas Day, that is the most viewed NBA Sunday night game during the regular season since 2002. The subsequent Thunder Nuggets matchup had an average of 2.9 million viewers. On average, 3.7 million people watched the Sunday night basketball package at 2 in the morning. Not only are those good numbers, NBC's enormous investment to bring the NBA back to their airways was justified by those extraordinary figures, which surpassed network expectations.
18 all Sunday windows. Most watched game of the season across all networks, excludes tip-off and Christmas Day. Thunder Nuggets offer average 2.9 million viewers, NBC plus Telemundo. Sunday night basketball, 2-game average, 3.7 million viewers. Let's get into what the executives over there at NBC had to say. NBC Sports leadership weighs in. Rick Cordella spoke positively about Clark's debut, noting that she did a good job.
NBC Sports executive Rick Cordella discussed Clark's effectiveness as an analyst in public. She performed well and carried out the duties with ease, he remarked. Given the magnitude of the crowd and the attention that comes with a national NBA broadcast at Madison Square Garden, it was evident that she was well prepared and at ease in the situation by highlighting her grasp of the game and her ability to speak properly. However, this is more important than the praise. Clark is already set to make another appearance on NBC. On March 29th, she will officially begin working as an analyst for Knicks Thunder, and Cordella made it clear that he intends to see more of Clark in the future. That goes beyond simple compliments following a single presentation. That shows a sincere desire to establish a relationship.
Caitlin Clark nailed it, according to the executives, in her NBC speaking analyst role. Love to see it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel, that would mean so much.
What makes this important for Clark and the larger discussion around women's basketball is as follows. She is not merely being featured on TV by NBC as a curiosity or a marketing gimmick. She provides genuine insight and reliable analysis, which is why they include her in their NBA coverage. Being a professional basketball player who has the most in-depth knowledge of the game, she adds perspective to their broadcasts. And that is significant because it shows a way forward independent of the WNBA's infrastructure or its unmatched model of failed leagues. Beyond only playing, Clark is developing a diverse profession. She is becoming recognized by major networks as a valuable media figure. She is someone that NBC believes can help with their coverage of the NBA, NFL, Olympics, and streaming services. That is a far larger platform than what Unrivaled or the WNBA can provide. Consider the contrast that is being displayed in real time. Unrivaled made significant investments to establish a new league, add clubs, broaden their schedule, land TV deals with TNT and True TV, and plan significant promotional activities. They took all the necessary steps to develop a sports property, but in just 1 year, their average audience dropped by 44% to 103,000. When Caitlin Clark appears on one NBA broadcast and offers insightful commentary for a few hours, NBC immediately begins discussing the possibility of extending her job and having her return for other appearances. Instead of attempting to promote a product that no one is interested in, she is enhancing an existing successful product. There isn't much to learn here. High-level basketball has a sizable fan base. With millions of viewers each week, the NBA demonstrates this. It's obvious that people want to hear from top players who have insider knowledge and can analyze the game. Furthermore, when women provide real experience and credibility, there is undoubtedly a desire for them to have important positions in sports media. It seems that 3-on-3 basketball leagues that play in modest venues during the WNBA summer are not popular. Unmatched in their ability to generate attention through large-scale arena events and marketing and promotion. However, if the core product doesn't resonate with consumers, you can't promote your way into relevancy. All the information you require on the cap for this scam is provided by the fact that there is no football competition, 40,000 viewers, and record attendance that creates national headlines. The unmatched approach makes the assumption that WNBA fans would eat everything that is presented to them during the offseason because they're starving for more basketball programming. However, the ratings show that assumption to be incorrect. Fans of the WNBA aren't turning out in unprecedented and significant numbers. It's not being treated like a must-watch basketball game. They aren't even considering it to be background viewing. They simply aren't paying any attention. And that poses a serious issue for the league's long-term prospects. Because what will happen in year 3 if you are unable to keep your audience in year 2? When the novelty wears off and you're just another niche sports property with an average of 60,000 viewers on True TV, what happens? When does the economics become illogical? Television networks don't broadcast content for charitable reasons. They require material that connects with marketers. With only 103,000 watchers, Unrivaled isn't doing well. They're taking up key time slots and producing little profit. Warner Bros. Discovery committed to a multi-year run before observing how the ratings would change, which is the only reason they are still available on TNT and True TV. However, those offers expire. Unrivaled will most likely be behind a paid wall on HBO Max, Paramount Plus, or another streaming service within the next 2 years. They will present it as a calculated move to establish a direct line of communication with their followers. However, the truth is that they will no longer be able to defend broadcast television real estate. Additionally, their viewership will plummet once they are behind a paywall because they will never be discovered by the casual audience that could happen onto a game while channel surfing. Contrast that course with Caitlin Clark's construction. Major network television is exposing her to millions of viewers. She is collaborating with well-known properties that have a demonstrated following. She is building connections and abilities that will benefit her for many years after her playing career ends. She's accomplishing this without relying on the WNBA's music business model or the capacity of a new league to draw viewers. That's the clever move. Use platforms that are already effective to develop your brand. Enhance products with existing audiences. Provide possibilities without having to persuade millions of individuals to care about something they have clearly shown they don't care about on numerous occasions. Thus, it is worthwhile to pose this question. Was Unrivaled genuinely successful at that Philadelphia event, or was it merely a costly diversion? They received attendance-related news. For a few hours, they had their players on national television. Although they gave the impression of momentum and release, they failed to translate any of that into television viewership. They didn't reach more people. They failed to show that their product has room to grow. They recently demonstrated that, given enough marketing funds, they can fill an arena once in a large market. Furthermore, that company model is unsustainable. In the meantime, Caitlin Clark arrived, performed admirably, and NBC promptly began organizing her subsequent appearance. No contrived spectacles or gimmicks, just reliable analysis that enhanced an already existing product. And for that reason, while Unrivaled is seeing their audience dwindle, she is creating something enduring. Beyond believing that any new league or content will naturally find an audience, the debate surrounding women's basketball needs to change. The 44% drop in Unrivaled's viewership disproves that theory. It's not enough to have a product that sounds wonderful in press releases. You also need one that people want to watch. And the NBA is currently the product that people want to see. Not 3-on-3 basketball in front of 64,000 spectators on True TV, with Caitlin Clark offering commentary. We can readily identify what works and what doesn't from the market.